How usury destroyed the Roman Empire? 1. Origins of Roman monetary practices. Rome's economic history was bound to the metals it employed as mediums of exchange. Early Romans, perhaps wisely, began with cattle, which proved less volatile than crypto and more edible during recessions. Around 753 BC, copper ingots, ice rude, were introduced, later evolving into stamped bronze, ice signatum, and cast coinage, ice grave. These were state-issued, legally backed, and, shockingly, functioned as early fiat currency. Up to 300 BC, Rome enjoyed prosperity, honest leadership, and even the abolition of debt bondage, nexum. One could say it was the golden age of copper. Footnote. Early Roman money demonstrates that fiat currency is workable when issued by a sovereign state rather than private bankers. 2. The Silver Revolution and its discontents. In 267 BC, Rome's elites gained the privilege to mint silver. This marked the beginning of what economists today would politely call monetary mischief. Silver drachmas, denarii, and sestertii flooded circulation. With no substantial silver mines in Italy, Rome expanded militarily to feed its new metallic appetite. The peasants who once sustained the republic with corn and stability became soldiers, while their farms transformed into slave-driven latifundia. By the 1st century BC, piracy, violence, and corruption flourished, because nothing says civilization like gangsters running your capital. Footnote. The introduction of silver coinage weakened Rome's agrarian foundation and incentivized expansionist wars. 3. Caesar's brief monetary renaissance. Julius Caesar, more famous for his oratory and assassination than his fiscal policies, attempted radical reform. He capped interest rates, forbade compound interest, abolished debt slavery, and shifted minting authority back to the state. Caesar even cut state debt by 25%, a feat modern governments would call political suicide. Unsurprisingly, the elites, robbed of their usurious income, responded with daggers. His reforms died with him on the Senate floor in 44 BC, a moment that proved bankers have longer knives than soldiers. Footnote. Caesar's reforms underscore that financial elites rarely forgive those who interfere with their revenue streams. 4. The gold standard and the empire's demise. From 27 BC onward, Rome increasingly relied on gold aurei. Scarcity of gold led to chronic deflation, dependence on imports, and constant wars to secure supply. Constantine outlawed counterfeiting with punishments so creative they would impress a dystopian novelist. Meanwhile, luxury imports drained coinage eastward, and the empire spiraled into fiscal anemia. By the 4th century AD, the economy became parasitic, wealth hoarded by elites and the church, the middle class hollowed out, and plebeians reduced to glorified slaves. The gold-based system proved shiny but brittle. Footnote. Rome's adoption of a commodity standard created scarcity, deflation, and dependence on external supplies. 5. The Church and the concentration of wealth. Constantine's tithe decree gave the Church enormous financial power. By the late Empire, the Church controlled 1/3 to 1/2 of all land. Instead of reinvesting wealth in the community, it concentrated gold in vaults, strangling circulation. One might call it the original too-big-to-fail institution. By the 5th century, taxation, usury, and hoarding had reduced Rome to economic paralysis, setting the stage for military collapse. Footnote. Excessive wealth concentration by religious and aristocratic elites stifled monetary circulation and hastened collapse. 6. Consequences and lessons. When the Western Empire finally imploded in 476 AD, agriculture reverted to subsistence, commerce ceased, and arts and sciences withered. Metallic currency contracted from $1.8 billion to $200 million, ushering in centuries of deflationary depression. Economically speaking, Rome's demise was not just about barbarian invasions but about an unsustainable monetary system, one that treated money as a commodity rather than a legal instrument of exchange. The lesson remains clear: No society can survive when its financial architecture is dishonest, usurious, or monopolized by elites. Footnote: Rome's collapse illustrates that money must serve as a public utility, issued free of debt and interest by the state.